This is the Fantasy Football Game Plan, where we talk about fantasy football and the NFL.
All right. So were you happy with your draft?
Was I happy with my draft? That's how I'm going to answer that one.
Oh, okay. I'm just putting your draft up here.
Oh, cool!
First of
Look,
all-
you put it all in an easy, readable format. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
thought it would be better for people watching to see it like that. So let me just sort of do that with us. And first of all, I like that your league is called the Bush League.
And I have the picture. I have the picture of like Keanu Reeves as the replacement as the group.
And your team is called Happy Pants.
Yeah. That's old nickname.
Yours?
Yeah, I think I might change it to I wish I had a Galladay.
That's good too. All right. Well, so I've got Brady in the background here because both of us got Brady for our QB. So I thought I'd bust out Brady and put him on the shelf behind me there. So how are you? Are you happy with Brady as your Q?
Yeah. Okay. So, I was thinking to going after Lamar Jackson, but then I was sitting around on Saturday or something, and I decided just to Google Lamar Jackson and realized that he's caught COVID a couple of times in the last 10 months, and he still doesn't believe that the vaccination is something that it's going to work or whatever. And I just didn't want to trust someone like that. So then I thought, I had Rodgers last year, and he was a great, solid quarterback, and he's always has production numbers with his team.
Yeah.
But then when it came draft time, and I was, I think I drafted him in round 7 or something. I forget what round I drafted Brady in. The reason why I picked him and I had such great success last year is because I picked up Evans as my number 2 wide receiver, and I just wanted the double points combination. As Brady will get 4 points for every thrown touchdown, and 6 points would be given to Evans on top of obviously yards, right? So it's just I just thought, I'm going to go with my number 2 or my number 1 wide route and just have that double point multiplier attributed to my system.
Yeah, well, if things go along the way they did last year, that's 40 touchdowns worth of doubling up for Brady. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Well, I mean, they won't all go to Evans, but a lot of them, many out of the 40, will go to Evans. So
even if he gets 12, if he gets 12, right? That's double up your points right there. So anybody I'm playing, I already have that multiplier as my advantage. So that's why I went with Brady and not with Rodgers. Last year I went with Rodgers because I picked up Javonta Adams. So obviously that was 18 touchdowns worth of gold. But so that's why I picked Brady. And I picked him at a good round because I was picking 7th.
Yeah.
In my draft. So I picked him I think on the 7th on the way down. Because the next time I would have picked would have been another 14 away, and he may have been gone at that point.
Right. And you still managed to get 2 pretty good running backs, even though you were picking at 7 with Eckler and Harris.
So the guy behind me sort of almost had the same game plan as I did. A couple times, I think I stumped him with a couple of my picks, and he definitely stumped me with a couple of my picks. So as he was hitting on 8 coming down, I had Kittle, and he picked him, and so I had to just go to. Are we talking about running backs here? Or are we talking about?
Well, we're just talking just in general. You picked
so
two good running backs that you were in the 7th spot.
Yeah. So I was just I was able to get 2 people that I knew that were going to be on the board, and I liked Harris's production, and and Eckler was just like I could have picked other people ahead of Eckler, but I chose him because he's pass catching PPR league.
Those guys are both going to get a lot of volume, a lot of opportunity. Both of those running backs.
The one thing I did after that was I followed pretty much like a 4-person wide receiver strategy, and I really left my running backs to later rounds. The draft people were who I drafted with. There were some weird choices that were being made. Like I think like Chase Edwards got picked up like 3rd round, and I had him going in my like 8th. And so it was just really weird that someone would have stretched that far for that running back.
Yeah.
And Gasick got yanked for me like right as he was in my queue.
Oh, Gaskin's from the Dolphins.
Yeah, it was either like the guy like 6 or 8 picked him right before me. So it was just, there was just a couple of things that just kind of threw me off a little. And I ended up going with Philip Lindsay as my 3rd and my 4th. So I only have 4 running backs.
Okay.
Which could be problematic, but there are some running backs still available because I'm in 10-man league. There are some people that are going to break out week 1, week 2. There's ACL problems.
Yeah.
Those always occur.
Well, and here's one for you. It happened with the Baltimore Ravens. They lost yet another running back this week. So Justice Hill was going to be getting some of those pass catching opportunities that Gus Edwards doesn't usually get. But, J.K. Dobbins, he went down. So then, Justice Hill becomes the pass catching running back. So then he blows his ACL. So now they've brought in Lev Bell, and he's on their practice roster. So that'd be a guy to watch going forward if someone in your situation that needs a running back down the line, like he could end up being productive.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I knew that coming into the draft too, but I wasn't going to waste a pick on a practice roster guy that's not playing. When we have $100 to spend on waivers, so you can make as many waivers as you want. But once your $100 is up, it's up.
Okay.
Right. So, if he's someone you want to pick up, I'll pick him up at some point. But if not, I'll look at other people. Like there's going to be a lot of change in the season, and
yes,
I don't really want to drop too many people off my bench. I kind of like my bench.
Yeah,
and I thought I did a decent job. Not the best, but
I think so. What team is Prater kicking for?
Arizona.
He's with Arizona. Okay, well that's a pretty good offense. They'll score some points.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny, and I'm going to go to my roster now, Trojan Man. And I thought it was funny that you and I picked the same quarterback. And also, we both have Higbee as our tight end. So I think we've been influencing each other quite a bit. I think I was hearing your voice. I've got a funny story about our draft. We talked before about having alternate plans in case things go awry or a different way than you anticipate. So a guy in my division had Kelsey for quite a lot of money, around $21 or $23, about a quarter of his budget. And, it goes around to different guys, and you suggest a player, and he suggested Kittle. And then he proceeded to bid Kittle, the tight end for the Niners. He was bidding him up. And I actually wanted Kittle, but I noticed that it was the guy that had Kelsey that was bidding him up. So I thought, if no one bids more than him, he'll end up with 2 tight ends for I think it was around $16 that he bid it up to. And I didn't bid. I just thought, I'm going to see what happens, because it was kind of just between me and him at the end there bidding. And I just stopped bidding. And he ended up having to eat Kittle. So he ended up with Kelsey and Kittle and not much else, because he blew a lot of his budget on that pick. But it had a huge effect. It was like a domino in our draft. And Kittle was the only tight end available at that point that was, in the top tier.
Mhm.
So it really affected things, and it affected me going forward because it was my plan to actually get one of those top tight ends, and they were all gone now. So I ended up, hearing your voice in my head when it came around to tight ends. I didn't have much of, I mean, I had a budget, but I didn't have guys to choose from. So I ended up going with Higbee, and also you sold me on Gesicki. You think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, well, Tualoa, whatever, however you say
Oh,
his name.
let's just call him Tua.
Yeah, he 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 used him a lot when he got into trouble. Now he's going to get into trouble again this year. For one, he has to run outside the pocket, and the tight end's usually the closest guy to him.
Yeah.
So, or the running back check down. So, yeah, I think he was. I picked him off waivers last year, and he did well on my bench because he didn't score points for other
This is
people.
Gesicki?
Yeah, Gesicki.
Okay.
So I think he's going to have the same type of production here. You should be all right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you're right. Kicking wise, all my favorite guys were gone, but I really like the guy for the Colts. He's got those goggles. Like I think it's hilarious because he runs on the field, Blankenship, and he's got these goggles.
I think they call him like Wild Thing from like that softball movie with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, I mean, just so fun. I just couldn't resist drafting him because also the Colts have a good defense, and they're going to run the ball. I mean, their quarterback situation is still a big mess, but I mean, they're a really good team. So I figured they'll probably kick a lot of field goals. So I went with the guy with the goggles, Blankenship, just to entertain myself, really.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great pick. But can I just to talk about Higbee? Matthew Stafford is his quarterback. Matthew Stafford has always liked to target tight ends. Choosing him as your number one at $5 is a steal because he might have more production than Woods or Cup, because like progression 1, 2, 3 goes to, and that's what Matthew Stafford has been doing his whole entire life, right? Megatron's not open, Galladay is not open, Jones isn't open. Okay, dump it off to Ebron, dump it off to Fells, dump it off to Hawkinson. So we might be very fortunate with the Higbee.
Okay. Well, I hope so, because you definitely influenced me to make that pick. Also, I was hoping you'd be proud of the fact that I picked up Williams, the Detroit running back, for $3 as a starter at the end of the draft when no one had any money. And people were looking for running backs. I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking he's going to start the first couple of weeks. And I bought him for $3. I was pretty happy with myself.
It's a great buy. He got away from me too. The person picking 6 or 7 cherry picked him right after me. I swear these two people were knowing or following the same type of plan of how, like, what positions to pick per round, or pretty close to it, right?
Yeah.
Like best man up and position wise. So.
Yeah. And then I did the same thing you did with Brady and his receiver, only I stacked him with Godwin. Evans was very expensive and he was gone, but I had the same stacking idea. So I went to Godwin for the yards and for the touchdowns. I know Evans catches more touchdowns than Godwin does, but there's still a lot of yards to be had there and a few touchdowns. So I've got that stack going. And then just to be, extra sure about the stack, Antonio Brown was available for $2. My guys were spending money like crazy. A lot of the guys in my league, they did the stars and scrubs thing where they spent most of their money on 3 guys, maybe 4, and then just went with $1 players all over the place. And then I was able to get Antonio Brown for $2. I couldn't believe it.
That's hilarious. I think Antonio Brown when in my league, I think someone picked him up. Let's see.
Well, he's a good buy. But one thing that I was reading the other day before my draft
He
was
got
that
picked up.
but the Buccaneers have the easiest schedule in football this year, even though they're the champs. Apparently it's random. So they've got the easiest schedule. So, I mean.
Yeah, well, I hear that reverse complaint being an ear onto Detroit Lions. We have like the third toughest because we play the NFC West and we play the AFC North. So we play Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then we're like in Seattle, Arizona, LA.
Ouch.
So it's just like, give us number one draft pick. Give us. Not expecting much from the good old Lions this year, but yeah, like so you got 8 games right there, and then your division.
Yeah,
like yeah,
that's tough. But so one of the things that happened that I wasn't really anticipating to be likely was that with the money that I had allotted to spend on Kittle or Andrews or one of those guys, with them being gone, I had a bit more money to get, even though I had Antonio Gibson and Dalvin Cook as my starting running backs. I've heard a lot of good talk about Javonta Williams from Denver, and hearing that he's going to be sharing carries, so like a part-time starter. And people were talking about Cam Akers last year and also Taylor from the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, and they were kind of comparing him to those two guys. I had the money, so I mean, running backs are hard to get, so I took a huge gamble on Javonta Williams with a lot of my budget. But if he turns out to be a player, I think I've got a pretty solid team here.
Yeah, because you could fold them into your keepers. How many do you keep?
Yes, we can keep up to 2 at one position, and I'm only allowed to keep a guy for 3 years. So I will actually lose Dalvin Cook at this price next year. And if I want to get him again, I'm going to have to pay for him. But if Williams turns out to be a player at 16 and Antonio Gibson is good at 9, then I'm in good shape going into next year's draft.
Yeah. So you got some budget free up.
Yeah.
So the guy that picked 4th ended up getting Dalvin Cook. I guess there was just, I heard some squabble in my league that the guy picking second, people picking second and third just were in love with a couple of other players. So they let Dalvin Cook slide to 4th. And so the guy sitting in 4th, who was the guy that beat me out by like half, not even like a point last year, like 0.08.
Yeah.
So he's a good player. Like he understands football. He ended up getting Dalvin Cook in his laps just because of where he was sitting in the draft. And I was shaking my head. I was like, oh my goodness.
You never know what guys are going to do. Hey, I mean, there's 2 situations, one from your draft and one from mine, just like a crazy story, but people do weird stuff. They fall in love with different guys and they try to be, you can overthink it. I mean, the guy who picked the 2 tight ends in my league, his season is lost. The 3 toughest teams in the league are all in our division with him from where I'm sitting when I'm looking at how everybody did. Mm-hmm. And he actually has already traded Kittle for Tyler Boyd from the Bengals and Ronald Jones from the Bucks. So he gave him away for very little already. Yes. He's done. Like it's all right. I play him first. I'm licking my chops.
Yeah. So I had on my list of people not to touch. Buccaneers committee. They have 3 running backs. You don't know who's taking the ball. Ronald Jones, great quarterback. He's going to get 10 touches when another guy's going to get 10 touches and then the other guy's going to get 4 touches.
Right.
And there's your game. So
yeah.
So I just stayed away from the Bucks. Now, if you go back to mine, I know I picked Houston up. I picked Lindsey, and that's also a committee running backfield. But I figured, no one was picking Houston players regardless. So having Philip Lindsay, I was even contemplating to here, Sean, was to picking up Moss. So going Singletary on Moss and trying the double backup running backs like we were talking about.
Yeah.
except for the guy who was picking 7 or 8 picked him before me.
Oh, well, you know,
Like,
that
it
could,
happened 3 times. Like I just,
Yeah.
it's just like boom. And I guarantee you, when
Yeah.
I was picking,
yeah,
he probably thought the same thing too. Because when I picked up Sutton,
Cortland Sutton. That's a good pickup.
Cortland Sutton, it took him to like, we had a minute on the clock. It took him to like 2 seconds to pick whoever he was picking.
Ah,
I just knew that there was probably just some, what the heck?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You, well, yeah. I mean, we're all looking at the same different rankings from the same sources, right? So we all kind of have an idea. You just, those guys that fall in love with certain players kind of screw that up when they start doing crazy things like leaving Dalvin Cook to the number 4 overall. He's going to regret that. I don't know. He was probably somebody who liked, Elliott from the Cowboys or something like that.
Yeah, it was more so that I'm not sure what it was, but for instance, too, like, is the number 1 receiver in Vegas, but he was so low down the totem pole, no one even knew that he was even there. So I picked Ruggs up at like one of the last rounds, being, I can't even believe this guy's still on the board. Everyone's just thinking that Waddle was going to catch all the footballs in that team. No, he's going to get double covered.
You're talking about Ruggs from the Las Vegas?
Yes.
Right. And then they've got Edwards on the other side.
Right. But everyone didn't even pick. They just said Waddle's going to catch all the balls.
Well, Waddle's in Miami.
No, not Waddle. What's the tight end?
Oh, the Walrus.
Yes.
Yes, the tight end.
He's going to catch all the balls. So
Yeah,
they're just so everyone just ignored their wide receivers.
Yeah.
But he's going to get double. A linebacker's going to be on him,
Right.
and the weak safety will be on him.
Yeah.
So he's already double covered the whole game.
Yeah.
And this guy is going to be open.
Yeah. Yep. And also, I like you picking Lindsey because I think he's a very talented player, even though he's on a bad team. I've seen it. He's very explosive. And I mean, if they can find a way to get him the ball in space a little bit, he's gonna score. He's a great player.
For a PPR league, he's a great player. He catches the ball.
Right.
So they're just going to be, I don't know what I'm doing, and here you go, Lindsey. And then, they're just going to be dump passing it to him.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be, we don't know what maybe Houston's going to be 16-3 this year. I don't know. 16-2. I don't know what
17 games. I would say Houston has got a good shot at going 0-17.
Yeah. But their football team, they're professionals, and they score touchdowns.
Yeah.
So,
well,
someone's going to have to do something. It's not like these people do not know how to play football.
If Tyrod Taylor gets injured, it's going to be a scary situation over there. They've got a rookie backing him up because, of course, we all know that their other quarterback isn't playing this year. So let's hope that Tyrod stays healthy.
Yeah, that's key, right?
Yeah. So the first game's Thursday, and we've got our waivers Thursday morning. When do your waivers come out for your league?
I'm not sure. I think they're open. The 8th would be the closing date, so they're probably open the same day.
Wednesday?
Yeah, they're open tomorrow.
Okay.
You got to get your. If you don't do it, Yahoo Sports. If you don't do it by the 8th, then you're not part of the league. So they kind of put everything in a vault probably for 24 hours. So yeah, it'll be open.
Okay. Well, good job on your draft. And
thanks. Yeah, you did. Yeah. You did well too. I got yours, and I was trying to find it, and then I found it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's funny that we got a couple of the same types of players, but maybe it's just the influence that we have when we keep speaking with each other. And I had a couple of the same guys on my to get, and they just didn't get. Like I said, the league I play in, the guys are educated. I think some of them are in 5 leagues.
Wow.
I play in 1.
Yeah.
I have a hard enough time trying to find time for managing a 1 bench.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, if you play in a whole bunch of leagues, like you're bound to win one of them. But you know that
the money you spent to get to those 5. If it's like you
Yeah.
might just win. You might just break even.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I just try to focus on the one league and do the best I can, and been doing pretty well so far. Really happy with this draft for myself also. And I think that doing this with you, you know, in the time we've been doing it since February, since the Super Bowl last year, I think definitely helped me be way more prepared for my draft this year, because I was able to think in several different directions because of a lot of different things that we had discussed on this program.
Yeah, I agree too. I think if I didn't have the knowledge going into my draft, I would have been really, really lost into how I was picking, especially with the way that the two people beside me were picking. But yeah, you know what? The person who got number 1 pick, like she won the draft. Like her team is stellar. So
Okay.
you know, it's crazy when it's the snake and ladder. You know, you get your first pick, and then you know those in a 10-man league, you're still getting quality players at whatever that is, 19, 20.
We're in a 9-man and 1-woman league.
Yeah, 9 and 10.
Is she the only female person in your league?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice, and she kicked butt, so good for her.
Yeah. Well, she got number 1 pick.
That helps.
Just how the dominoes landed this year. But
right.
Maybe next year, maybe I'm up.
Yeah. Who knows? Or maybe you'll pick 7 again.
Yeah. Or maybe I have some insight now how the 2 teams 2 and 3 work. So just make sure that like if I'm beside them, I know which players they're going to be playing, picking.
Yeah.
Who they love.
Yeah. Well, hey, good luck on Thursday. I know you'll be watching because our quarterback's playing. Good. You know, hope you win your week. And also just want to invite anybody who might be watching. If you're having questions about, maybe you've got a dilemma and you're trying to, well, should I go this way or that way? And you want to bounce it off somebody, send us an email, which will be posted at the end of this show. And we can weigh in on it, you know, express our thoughts and maybe help you decide what to do. So feel free to email us with questions or comments going forward.
Cool. Okay, Sean, enjoy your evening.
All right. And
good luck.
Please subscribe to the channel. Good luck to you too.
Right there. Subscribe.
You got it. Talk soon. Okay, bye.
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Game Plan podcast. Need coaching on your lineup? Drop us a line and we'll discuss your dilemma.